Hello, creative people. Welcome to Creative Conversations. My name is Hollis Citron, and we are so happy that you have chosen to spend this hour with us. So I am owner and founder of I Am Creative and Express Yourself Publishing, and I am on a mission to expand the definition of creativity beyond a pencil and a paintbrush and empower people, especially adults, to own their voice that come in so many different forms. So this space was created to talk with people with all different jobs, hobbies, and interests, and have conversations about experiences and perspectives, all centered around three questions. 1, how do you define creativity? 2, how do you incorporate it into your life? And 3, why do you think it's important? Then we have a free-flowing conversation, and we see where it goes. So I have had the opportunity to talk to musicians, Reiki masters, mediums, doctor, lawyer, real estate agents, and so many more. And these conversations explore the reality that creativity is not cute, it is necessary. People have defined creativity as their soul's essence, courage, imagination, basically all that we are and want to be. So sharing these stories expands one's thinking and opens up self-expression to feel more empowered, connected, and dare I say, happy. My inspiring guest for today is Renata Farah. Renata is originally from Brazil. She is a sports journalist, and she moved to Australia in 2013 after living in Argentina for 7 years. She also has a background in marketing and sales. And in Australia, she worked for the second largest HR agency in the world, which she thought would be a career shift, but she was wrong. She left her job in October 2020, and her mission is to mentor and empower others to be motivated and to create new opportunities so that they can take the leap of faith and go for the glory. Renata, welcome to the space.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello, Holly, I'm here.
Yay! It has been so long since we had our pre-chat. How are you?
I know, I'm good. I was here a little bit nervous with with technology, but it's worked really well. How are you? Great introduction. Thank you for that.
Yes, yes. Well, I am so happy that you're here. So, on that note, can you please give people a little bit more background as to who you are?
Oh my gosh, that's always a tricky question, isn't it? For us to talk about ourselves is way
I
easier when
know.
somebody do this for us. So first of all, thank you very much for your introduction.
You're welcome.
Yes, so I am actually I have a background in journalism, but I don't currently work with journalism anymore. But I still tell to people that I am a journalist. So I have this identity around that because I am really passionate about, I think, investigation, creation. I think journalism can go to the, there is a dark side from it, but there is a really bright side of it, which is the one that I like to work on, which is the investigating, getting to know more people, understanding where they're coming from, their backgrounds. I found this so empowering when
Mm,
we are able to connect to other people and understand their stories. I think the story is the power. and
mhm.
um, and yeah, so I'm currently living in Australia. I moved countries twice. I also like to say that about my immigration background because it takes a lot from someone.
Mhm.
When you move countries, you have to pretty much restart your life from scratch, and it's not everybody that is up for that. So it's a challenge, to be changing languages as well. English is not my first language. Um, so yeah, what else can I say here? In Australia, I had a very hard beginnings. Let's put it this way. It was really hard for me when I moved from Argentina at the time. Um, Here to start from scratch was really hard. I think I had this belief that people couldn't understand me because my English wasn't my first language. I don't know what had in my mind, and that led me to situations which were very hard when I started
Mm.
living here. Um, but I think that I had this thing on the back of my head that in order for me to succeed, I needed to find a corporate job. something that would give me stability and give me, I think it's just like we grow up learning this, right? We are born with this in our heads. At least back in Brazil, we are very traditional, like in family culture and education. And I came from a very traditional family,
Mm.
and that was what I was chasing. I was chasing that until I got it, and then I realized that I was all wrong.
You're like, wait a minute. No, it's not really what I want.
Yes, Holly. That was a really challenge for me at the time because it's kind of you start to chase that, right? As the goal thing, like that's the finish line, that's the place you're gonna go, and that's what everybody else is doing. And even though I had a very open minded by moving countries and doing different businesses along the way, I still had that box to tick, to check it out how it looks like. And when I finally made it, I was just so unhappy because I found myself literally inside the box, right? And I needed to do things that I wasn't just aligned with my values. And I had too much entrepreneurship inside me to be working for a big corporation. They didn't allow you to be, quote, free, right? You needed to fit in into their ways of being, and this is what ultimately led me in what I'm doing right now. So it was a period of massive growth and discovery, and definitely, if I didn't have gone through that path, I would never be in the current one that I'm right now. So I'm very grateful for that to have happened. I don't know if I respond your a little bit your story. I'm just trying to summarize so many things that happened.
No, you did. And it's wonderful. And it gives a great overview because we're going to dive into more things as we have the conversation. But so many things that you've already mentioned, which I really appreciate you sharing, is just you have started to share a little bit about the journalism and the dark and the light and how you go for the light side, and really about the stories and the power and immigrating and starting over again. And I remember when we had our pre-chat, and I really loved what you said, which was that when you were in the corporate situation, you had to put your wings down and you didn't like it.
Yeah, 100%.
And which was that reference to being put inside the box.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and ultimately, what I think is that what happens is, how can I say? I think if you become too much of an explorer in this space, you become a threat, right? That's how I was seeing. Like I was starting to become a threat for certain people. So certain people in this in my in my corporation, they were loving it. Usually the ones that are a little bit ahead of you, but the ones that are working with you a little bit under you, they start to get really annoyed about it, and then you become a threat, right? And I still remember having a lot of initiatives to do things in there, like in order to to be a better employee, to bring more opportunities for what I was doing. And I remember this day I wrote a blog post on my LinkedIn talking about overcoming challenges, and it was a metaphor that I was doing with cycling because I'm very passionate about cycling. And everything I used to bring back into my sport background as work, because I used to do like sport journalism, but also as an athlete myself with cycling. That is, this, in order for you to achieve things, demands work and demands training and repetition. And you're going to go through boredom. Like it's a whole process that is not just given to you like day, night, right? I think because of this world of Insta, everything has to be super quick, and how we see things online, for example, that everything happens night and day, right? And I remember writing this blog post just around this topic. And then on the next day, Holly, I received a letter from the HR saying that I breached something, and I needed to go to this meeting looking like if I was like a murderer, because I was talking about examples that certain people that read the blog felt that I was talking to them. I wasn't talking to anybody. I was talking to myself. It's just crazy. And the worst, Holly, this person, which I discovered further on the road, never came to me to talk to me. So, when this thing is like, they went to HR. So this kind of environment, it's so hostile, and for nothing. For what? For one extra commission you get, for one extra what, you know? And
Yeah.
this is what I started to realize, that I was being shut down, where actually I had to put my voice out there. Like I said, I think what I write, what I can inspire people to do is so good for them. Why would I stop it because I received an HR letter? Like it's
Yeah.
crazy. It was, of course, an unfold of facts, but
Yeah.
anyway, so this kind of things made me realize that I was definitely in the wrong space, and I needed to be brave to make the leap, and to get out of this space and to help people to do what I did. I just would be able to do that if I was doing that myself first, right?
Yeah. 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 It's we are our own best client. So it's like when we take the leap and we're actually going through it and we're actually doing it, then we can really teach it. And yeah, this is going to be good. Okay, so let's do our would you rather, and then we're going to dive into the first question, and we're going to have a great conversation.
Yes, sure. Let's do it.
So, Miss Renata, would you rather be able to speak to animals or speak 10 different languages?
Wow, that's a really good question because I'm an animal lover. Um, oh my God, Holly, that's a great question. I think I would do the animal, speaking with the animals.
Yeah, that would be
I would
pretty
do
cool,
that.
wouldn't it?
It would be pretty cool. Yeah, I would love to understand that. Yeah, and understand how they would think about it. I already understand a little bit how humans think, so I think that would be good to understand how animals thinks and behave. So I would definitely try to speak to them.
And you already have how many languages under your belt?
uh, 4.5. I need to
Oh my
develop
God,
the. I need to
four and
develop
a
the other one.
half. Wow.
Yeah, so Portuguese, Spanish, English, Italian, and French is it's just on the croissant and here and there. I used to speak really good French, but I stopped practicing, and then I forgot. But I think that if I start to study again, I would be, yeah. So I consider that a half.
Wowzers. So this is what America, you know what? Like we do not put enough of a focus on people having to learn languages. I don't stand on a soapbox about that kind of stuff very much, but it really is true. I was talking about this with my daughter because she's getting ready. She was in Costa Rica for 6 weeks, and she's getting ready to hopefully be able to travel in Europe in the spring, and with everything permitting. And it's just like the whole thing with languages. She, she's just like, we just kind of suck that way. We're not forced. Um,
Yes.
I mean,
Um,
that's a whole other conversation.
the conversation, my only takeaway from my only input on languages is not just about communicating with other people, but really understanding their culture. It's definitely another podcast, but it's so important. And I realized this when I arrived in Australia. Like, it's not just speaking English and communicating; it's actually understanding how people behave differently
Mhm.
in so many
Mhm.
different ways. So yeah, there is no right and wrong. It's just different, right? So
Yes,
it's just different.
right. Exactly, exactly. It's just amazing to be able to go to different spaces and be able to see how people live within their space and why they live within their space and
Yes,
all of that.
100%.
So, okay, so here we go. So, first official question is, how do you define creativity?
Creativity. Um, for me, creativity is, let's see if this word exists. You're gonna tell me, inventiveness. Like you inventing something. Like it's something that you have within yourself that you don't even know the definition of this. It's something just that you're good at doing it, or you're just, I don't know, you're just naturally good at doing something, and you just invent or create something around that.
Mhm.
I think most of the businesses that I see out there, especially the ones that work really well, are from people that literally created something from nothing. It's getting this power from scratch. Is the power that we all have, but we are put in the box, and our wings are inside that box, so we can't fly and explore that, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, and when you are in this space, when you are able to open your wings and to be creative and and get this power from out from yourself, is when magical things happen. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh, so agree. Yeah, it's the inventiveness. I love that word. And that's the beauty of there's no wrong in this. It's inventing words if you need to invent a word.
Yeah. It's been creative with the words.
It's been created. Now it exists. But inventiveness, yeah, it's taking this, it's like what comes, and this is the whole purpose of why I honestly started my company. Well, part of the reason, but really empowering people to really get reconnected with what they enjoy and what they are good at.
Yeah. Yeah.
And kind of, you can be good at something and not really enjoy it. And then
Hmm.
you can, some people tend to get lost in the, well, what do I really enjoy? Like,
Yes.
what is it? Because I'm so busy. I'm so
Yeah.
busy. I don't have time. I'm just, I have so many responsibilities, and we put ourselves at the bottom of the list when I've had this conversation multiple times, and we all know this. We need to put ourselves at the top, because if
Hmm.
we're not there, then
Yeah.
we're depleted,
No, I
and
totally
we
agree
can't
with
be
you.
inventive.
Yeah, exactly, Holly. And the thing is that the thing is that to get into this state, it demands growth. You be willing to explore yourself, and we are not taught in school how to explore ourselves. We're not taught in university how to explore ourselves. We often start to explore ourselves if we face some kind of challenge, something, a trauma, something that really says, okay, I need to understand why this is happening, or where I have to go, or what I have to do. Otherwise you kind of stay in the zombie state, of following what everybody else is doing, because it's easier to follow the crowd than to just stand out and do your own thing. It's just easier to go into doing certain things, which at the end of the day, again, there is no right or wrong. I think it's the people that are able to get out of this and to wake up into their who they truly are the ones that ultimately, in my perception, are gonna have a better experience here, by
Right.
finding themselves and finding what they're really good at, which is, it's not an easy task to do. Definitely not easy.
It's, well, I saw a quote that you said, and I love this quote. You said pain, discomfort, shock, boredom, avoidance, etc. There were many other things that you described. And then you said avoidance of these feelings is stopping you from a greater than you ever, from a life greater than your wildest imagination.
Yes. Yes. This is very powerful. And I have my story, my own experience with that was when I it, and before I share my experience, there is usually four things that happens to us, which I learned, which are the ones that makes us change and actually see the pain and in our dark side, let's put it this way, into something greater. Usually is death, redundancy, a health issue that you have, something happens and you realize you have to change. In separation, it's something that I've learned in the process of my own personal growth, are the things that move us to change, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is, a lot of people say you can change before that, but we kind of wait for something really big to happen in our lives for us to make this change, right? And in my experience, it was death. Was when my father passed away 5 years ago, and was when I have this realization that all the things I was going through, all the pain I was going through at the time, and kind of things stack up into my life. I saw them as stacking up. Like, I came back. I remember I was in Australia. I need to go back to Brazil because he was really sick. He literally passed the day after I arrived, and
Mm-hmm.
then I came back to Australia. I was married at the time. I separated. I got redundant at my job. Like, so many things happened at once, and I somatized everything. I put everything in a box, right? And was this huge pain. Was a place that I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't. How can I say to anybody to be there? Like, if I see somebody there, I say, I feel so. I know exactly what you're going through. And this was the point that I said, there is something here that I have to learn, and I'm just not being able to see it because I am such a pain in this survival state, right? In survival, we don't grow, we don't develop. You are there, like, trying, you are just going through the next day and the next hour and the next minute, right? to be able to go into this creative state, you have to get out of this survival state, right? So it's kind of understanding what's going on, why, and this is when I realized that actually all these moments that are really hard in our lives, they actually are leading us to beautiful moments, but we have to be able to be really positive and optimistic that this is possible. It's not easy in that situation. I've been there. But I understood that by working on myself, understanding my thoughts, my why I was so stuck in that situation, where actually that was leading me to, I don't know if I can, if it,
Yeah.
I'm being too holistic here,
Oh,
but it's
no. You're totally, yeah. And I love how you broke it down into those four areas. And it's true.
yeah,
There tends to be, it's that whole thing of, even though it's uncomfortable as hell, you stay in it because you know what to expect.
yeah,
So it's like, okay, I know I'm going to feel icky, or I know that I'm going to go to this job that I hate and this is going to happen. At least I know what to expect. I know that, in whatever the circumstance is. Um, but when you're willing to break free and get a different response, to get a different experience, it can be scary.
can be scary. Yeah,
Because we don't know how we're going to react. But that's, which is, and what I called this podcast here, which is talking about scaling your business without selling your soul.
yeah, yeah,
I guess we're kind of like jumping around, but maybe if you can talk to that, because I think this is kind of, you were talking about a lot of trauma things, which
yeah.
that's a whole bunch of, yeah. So how do you scale your business without selling your soul and giving in and staying in that space?
Yes. Um, so the first thing that you can do when so uh, the people that I help, Holly, are coaches or experts, are people that already have something happening. They already have an idea. They already are doing something. They maybe already have some one-on-one clients, or they have some people going through, or they are really already, like having their business rumbling, but they're literally trading their time for money. I mean, doing just one-on-one coaching calls and going through people because they believe that the only way to give them results and to provide them is for them literally trading their time for what they're doing, right? And this is something that I've learned through my career as a journalist and working in marketing and sales, is that if I didn't create systems to help me and support me through my work, it was impossible for me to cover everything, because there is just so many time I have in the day. There is just so much I can give to people, as well as my physical energy, right, giving to people. So just to give a little bit of background of where this came from, when I was working in this HR company, I was working with recruitment, and we caught the beginning of COVID. So I was there. I left on the end of 2020 when I resigned, and in the beginning of 2020, when we had the pandemic, I had people calling me, my candidates at the time, and they were in desperation. They didn't know what to do because so many people lost their jobs here, all over the world, but here in Australia also was super impacted, especially the industry I was working on, which were people I was recruiting people that were actually working physically in buildings. So all office buildings were closing because there was no more people going to offices. So all these people losing their jobs, and people that were like working for certain companies for like 30 years. So they didn't know anything else to do. Like they were so stuck in the situation. And my conversations at the time were more around like pushing them to move forward rather than to give them another job, because at the time there were actually no jobs here to give to anybody, right? And encouraging them and asking these questions like, what are you good at? What do you enjoy doing? What do you like to do? And this was when I realized that what I was doing by helping them to get out of their heads and actually doing something for themselves with a skill and something that they had, was something that I could be serving the world way better than being working in that place, and helping them to actually do something for themselves and use their skills to help other people, right? But what happens when you do this transition, if you're, so you made the transition, said, great, I am great in I don't know, drawing, and I want to teach other people how to draw. There is so many hours in the day that you can do that. So the way that you can scale and grow your business is by creating systems. And when I mean by creating systems is literally by starting to work online. So what are the tools that are available out there that you can automate part of your business and give your time, your energy into helping them in a group level. So you're not just in one-on-one. I think that's I have a student, a client. I like to call my clients students because we are all learning from each other. It's not just one way, it's a back and forth.
Right.
And she's a personal brand coach. And she was convinced that the only way for her to deliver her service, her coaching, was through one-on-ones because it's very personalized, right? So I said to her, let me go through your program so I can see what you were doing. And there were many calls that we were doing that she was just repeating the same thing over and over and over. And I said to her, well, this part, you don't have to be giving your time to explain to people. We can automate that. So then when you are, having their one-on-ones or group coaching, like you're already saving so much of your time, So I think it's educating people about the opportunities that you can find online by using systems, resources, tools that are out there for us, for you to just, put part of your business that is the repetition one, the things that you repeat, to package that in a way that people are still going to get heaps of value from you. And then you also can serve them in a group basis or even one-on-one, but then you don't have to be providing so much of your energy, time, physical in front of them, right? And it's still providing them like huge value and results. So this is, in a nutshell.
I love it. And it's so, 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 so important because we as entrepreneurs, we so get stuck in this because we think, oh yeah, it's the whole one-on-one, and one-on-one can be good in its place. And there are tons of benefits into one-on-one, but it's true. There is so much repetition and there is so much ways that we can save our time and our breath and actually do other things in life besides just our business, or put our energy in another place. I'm starting to see that window. I'm starting to get that light on finally.
Absolutely. No, that's amazing, Hollis. And the other thing is that the group interaction is so more powerful than one-on-one interaction, because when you are in a group and a community of like-minded people and you are in this safe space, right, you start to see what is happening with other people. And this exchange is so important. So I believe that group coaching, like when you are in a group with like-minded people and people are bouncing each other, is so much more helpful and more powerful, and people can push themselves forward way quicker and more effectively, than in a one-on-one basis. This happened with my student Sabine, and she realized, she said, wow, like I even participated in a group coaching that she had last week, and we were bouncing with each other. By the end, I said to her, you see, it's not that, it's powerful. She said, I am very grateful for that, because I had the belief that I couldn't do that. And it is a powerful way to move forward, in a way for the people that are either starting off on this or already in this business, like in the coaching, service-based business, for them to actually survive, like have a real business. Like, don't need to be just on your 10, 12 clients a month, but you can have like hundreds of people and serve and impact so many people that are out there, and not necessarily just the people that live around you, because then putting your expertise and your all that online, then you are there is no boundaries. You can reach anybody that speaks your language pretty much. So it's a powerful thing to get into.
Well, that's the beauty of all this. I mean, there were people online prior to all that's going on in our world. But now, like, for more people that were getting on board and being pushed a little bit faster to be able to learn the technology and to be able to get all caught up into that space, it's beautifully amazing. I mean, you could have clients anywhere in the world. It's not restrictive. It's an amazing thing. Such connection.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. Only disclaimer here, I'm very real in the stuff that I talk about. I like to be very transparent. Is it's not as sexy as it looks. Like, you have to learn how to work on the online space,
Yes.
because I think that there is a lot of sorry my English here, a lot of crap out there, of
Yeah.
people that are really into this marketing language. With, again, it's like journalism, have the dark side and have the bright side. There is a way to put in a good and a bad way, and kind of mess around a little bit of people beliefs of how quick you can achieve something, or how much you can make online, or how much things happens. And this is something that I'm very against, off. Like,
Hmm.
I don't like this kind of approach, because it makes people believe, oh, okay, so working online is super quick, and then I start tomorrow, I start on Monday, on Friday I'm gonna have this and that. So, for as everything, working online is not different. Demands work, demands understanding of the market, depends, understanding how the online space works, um, how to use these systems, how to use these tools, how to use these resources in your benefits. Like, it's not just pressing a button, publish, and the next day 100
Right.
people are gonna call you. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Thank you for saying that. Yes, it is so true. It is.
Yeah.
It's all a matter of aligning with the right space, learning, getting people around you to be able to help you and support you, to be able to help you to get your information in the best way possible. And yes, it's a process.
It's a process.
It's a process. We're
It's a
all a
process.
work in progress, and
Exactly. Yeah.
we totally have to just be patient with the process. Your company is called Mindbug, isn't it?
Yes, so Mindbug was how we started, but
Okay.
we are transitioning to just our names. We do business with my partner. So my partner
Hmm.
name is Matteo. So Matteo
Hmm.
and Renata. So we are now transitioning to that. The beginning of our business, Hollis, we were very focused on mindset for entrepreneurs, because it's something that we're really passionate about.
Hmm.
But as we evolved, like as we progressed in our journeys with our business, we noticed that definitely this is a very important thing, and we do provide these a lot. But to put more technical tools, I think more like tangible tools for people to actually, develop their businesses. So it's not just the mindset, but also like, which are the tools, what are the systems, how do I do them, how do I, how can I connect better with people, what are the tools that are out there, the software. So um, yeah, so we are transitioning into that. So we are just in the moment which we are changing for just our names, Matteo and Renata, which we are
Hmm.
the coaches, the people that support them, support our students. And then within our services, we have an online program that is called a mentorship experts accelerator, which has the purpose to accelerate people through this process by just giving them more, the tools and resources.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you the name Mindbug. I just like it. It's just, it gets your attention. So I was going to ask how you got the name, but it has to do with mindset.
Yes. So the mind bug, when we created it in first place, was because we wanted to be actually the opposite of what a bug does, is to be a positive bug in your mind. So install like a good bug right in there. And I remember the time we were looking for which bug could it be, right? And there are bugs that are ugly and that doesn't look good, and that they do some harm, but others are beautiful. And we actually chose the firefly, which is a very ordinary
Ah,
bug during the day, but during the night you have these beautiful lights. I think, and Matteo as well, my partner, we when we were creating it, we thought this is how we are. Like we are born and we are put in this box, so we are like the ordinary firefly, right? But during the night we have this beautiful light, which we shut them down, we shut it down. It's our creative thing that goes down. No, you have to fit in, you can't be creative. No, you can be an entrepreneur. No, I have to fit in, you need to be here. So it's
mhm.
like, how can we bring this light back into people, and by empowering them and by giving them, you know sometimes all is just one person that has to believe in you, you
Mhm,
know
mhm,
for you to be able to hold strong in what you have in your mind, that you want to do it, and just do it. So we
mhm.
said, let's be these people, let's be this person. I'm missing that. I'm missing this to myself. So if I miss myself, probably other people are missing as well. So let's try to work on this. Like, let's be inventive. Let's create something that we didn't see out there yet. So that's how everything started.
So I love it. And yes, the fireflies are so freaking amazing. I
They are.
think that it's almost kind of like a dolphin in a way. Like you can't not see a firefly and smile.
Yes.
So anybody who hasn't seen a firefly, I mean, just they randomly during, and then for here, like on the East Coast, that's when we know it's summertime. So it's like when I see my first firefly, like it's officially summertime. And I would always, even as a kid, and I still say it, which is getting on my kids' nerves already. I'm like, why are their lights only green? Like,
I
why
know.
aren't they blue or purple or pink?
Now they're beautiful. I love fireflies, and they have like a beautiful meaning as well. Like, as bringing lights, a smile. Looks like the whole sky is just on the ground when they are all together. It's just beautiful. Yeah, I love it.
It really does. There's actually a TED talk I saw somebody doing about this whole thing with the light. It's how they communicate, and of course, it goes back to sex. Like it's
It always go back to sex. Yeah.
it goes back to sex. The light flickers a certain amount of times to be like, "Hey, you
Yeah.
available?"
No, absolutely. Yeah, that's fun.
So let's transition into question number two, which is basically, so how do you incorporate more creativity into your own life?
Um, That's a very good question. How do I incorporate creativity into my own life? I think that's the what I love about is, if there is one thing that I do every day, is to learn from somebody else. This is something that I wasn't doing before, and I think this is what was giving me this stuck feeling of not learning. I think learning is something that we should never stop doing it. Maybe there is an association on school, right? That learning is like something boring, something annoying because I have to memorize things, and it's just you don't want to do it. Like you leave school saying, "Oh, thanks God, I don't have to learn anymore," right? But the
Right,
truth
right.
is, yeah, it's like I don't know how to do this anymore.
So
Especially
ridiculous.
it is, isn't it? But again, in my perception, is because we are just taught the wrong way. Like there is so many other things that we could have at school that are so important for life that we don't, and then we need to figure out ourselves. And this is where we go into this pain, right? Because we don't know what we don't know. So you just do what you know, and then you have to start to figure it out, right? And I think that we are all figuring out. We are all figuring out with no exceptions, right? It's every day a new figuring out. So what's the next thing to figure out? But there's one thing, if I could share, which I
Mhm.
encourage everybody to do, is to learn from things that you are really interested on, and this is going to spark your creativity because it's going to give you new ideas and new perceptions. So there is one thing that I'm very that I am a lot, is open-minded. I'm open-minded to things. So so if somebody comes to me with different opinion, I do have my opinions, of course, and the way I stand up for things. But if it's something that for me makes sense, like, okay, I want to understand why you think this way. I think this is really important. Um, Even for the things that you stand for, unless it's a very strong value that you have, and this is something that go really against what you believe, let's put it this way, but it's something that is just, okay, let's understand where they're coming from. I think that having this curiosity to
Mm.
explore, right? And then when you
Yeah.
have this curiosity to explore and learn, this sparks your creativity. So it's like how you can pump up. It's like how can you put asteroids into your creativity is by learning from other people, and understanding what are they doing, what are they doing that that help them to move forward, and be open-minded to these things. So I think that the way that I do, responding to your question very simply, is learning from others and being open-minded of what is happening out there that I just don't know and I need to learn. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that steroids and creativity is learning from other people.
Yeah.
It's yeah, because it just keeps going back to this theme of what we keep kind of going back to is like staying in the box and staying with what we know. If we only stay in our lane, then we don't grow, we don't expand, and the ideas don't flow in, and our imagination isn't charged. and we're not getting that exciting butterfly feeling in our stomach for curiosity and excitement because it's just not happening. We're just staying with everything that we just know.
Yeah.
So it's so important. So let's actually hear more about, because I know you kind of touched on cycling. Um,
Mm-hmm.
are there other aspects of other, because being in sports journalism, was there any other kind of sports that you were interested in or talking about
Yes.
travel?
Yes, so I've been involved in sports since a very young age, early stages. I actually am very thankful for my father. Yesterday, actually, I was doing a hiking with a friend, and I told him how grateful I was for my father to have put me into sports so early, because that gave me a lot of good stuff like resilience, discipline, determination. I think everybody as a kid should, I don't know, I don't like to use the words like everybody and nobody, right? Because you generalize people that you don't know. But
Mm-hmm.
it's I would say that I highly encourage people to get into sport because it gives you so much good stuff. Like it kind of grow your character, right? Because you learn how to compete as well. You learn how to, you learn about a lot about yourself, because sports, and I'm talking about since I learned how to do sport, I always did it like in a performance level. So trying to get into competitions and races and things. So my training was never just a 20 minutes jog, like was like, let's go for a training session, right? So you suffer in this session, and suffering is that point that you're thinking, stop, I can't keep going, or, like it hurts, you have to stop. Is your brain working, being counterproductive with you? And this is where you learn how to keep moving, right? And how are the benefits of keeping moving, because you see in your body kind of instantly reacts to your effort, right? So you can see improvements on your time, you can see improvements on your body shape, you can see improvements in results in races. So since I'm a kid, I got involved in a lot of sports. I did swimming, horse riding. Then I did so horse riding, I was competing horse riding. Then I went into windsurfing, which I was competing as well. Then I moved to
Mm.
triathlons. And then
Wow.
from the triathlons, I did a lot of races. I did Ironman and everything. By the way, when I did the Ironman, which is this very long distance race, my takeaway was totally personal growth, because it's a constant fight. You are fighting in your mind the whole way to stop, right? Because it's long hours doing it. And then I stick with my favorite one from triathlons, which was cycling, and it's the one I do to these days. And cycling for me, always what gave to me was that there is not so many girls riding the bike. It's a
Mm.
very male dominant sport, and you have to own your space in this sport, right? It's kind of, you have to ride there kind of a little bit like spreading your wing and say, hey, I'm here, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
learned a lot about myself. Like I learned how to deal with those situations, like to be in a male dominant environment and you're just there, hey, I'm here, pay attention, I can keep up with you, I'm not different.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing is to be resilient to the training as well. I think that sport gives you that, right? You know that the next day you're tired and you're not feeling amazing, but you know that the training has to be done. And this repetition, this boredom that you go through, even on sport, when you're doing a practicing a sport, sometimes you get bored to repeat the same thing, to go to the same route, to do the same thing. This is a replication of everything else you have to do in life to succeed, pretty much, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's this repetition, the repetition, and the difference that in sport you can see straight away in your body, like there is a representation that comes straight away. Sometimes in business take a little bit longer for you to see something.
Mm-hmm.
um, but yeah, so the sport is something that's brought a lot of good things into my life. I made all my friends around sport. My partner is a cyclist himself, so it's, yeah, my life go around all that. I travel, when I go for traveling, I travel with my bike.
Do you?
I,
Uh-huh.
I like to be in nature as well. So kind of it creates, my identity went around sport and the lifestyle of what it provides me. So it's really good, and I would definitely encourage other people to do it.
The Ironman, is that a combination? I know the triathlon is biking, swimming, running,
Yeah.
correct? So the Ironman, is that the same thing but longer or no?
Yes, so the Ironman is 3.8K swimming. Then you have 180K cycling, and then a 42 a marathon after running.
Holy
And
crap.
yeah, it's a long day in the saddle. and again, it's a beautiful challenge for itself. I think that hardly ever. I think I just didn't do a second one because I got an injury on my knee, and I didn't. And yeah, things went differently. I moved country, kind of things go around the way. But most of people that do one go to the second one because it's a really personal challenge. Like you're definitely racing with yourself. You're not racing with anybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. How many? I'm stuck on this for a minute. How
That's
long did
okay.
it take? How long did it take you to do it?
I did it in 13 hours, but yeah, like the fast people, the fast guys, they do like in 8. So they cut 5 hours of what I did.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
I
Wowzers.
walked most of the marathon. My knee was completely gone and I needed to walk. But, it was, again,
But
was
you
something
did
that
it.
I did it. Yeah, I finished. I wanted to tick the box, and I wanted to. And then my job at the time, I was working for a triathlon magazine, so I was doing. I was all over, triathlons and Ironmans and traveling everywhere to cover races all over the world. So it was something that, yeah, I had to do it, and I ticked the box. I think I would do another one, but I would prepare myself better. That's for sure. I
Well, I
wouldn't do
think
the way I did.
what do you mean? Why not? What would be different?
Yeah, because when I did it, I think, when you don't know what you don't know. So I was reading a lot. I was around it. I was interviewing the athletes. I was all over it because I was working for Triathlon magazine at the time. But you don't know, you don't feel it in your body, right? I don't know how it is. Like you look at the
Right.
pros racing and say, this is easy. This should be fine.
Right.
So I did, there were days that I was working as well. So I had, I was training on my time in between, my jobs and stuff that I was doing. So I wasn't doing some of the training. Sometimes I was feeling tired. So now I'm not going to go for a run. And this pays after, right? You
Mm-hmm.
can't afford not training. You can't afford skipping trainings. You have to be very disciplined and consistent to that. And so if I am to do it again, I would definitely stick to my training program. I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
skip any session.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, and it's a lifestyle again because it's a lot of training, and it's again, let's say you are working 8 hours a day, and then you have the other, I don't know, 15 hours to do all of the rest, including 2 sessions of training. So you become really, it's full on. Yeah, you have to be very disciplined to do that. Which,
Well, the words.
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Which what?
No, that's it. Which is great, which is fine. I think it's just, whatever is a priority you have going on in your life and stuff like that. So yeah, at the moment I wouldn't do any, but I
Mm-hmm.
think I would further on try it again because it was a very, very nice challenge.
Well, I think so many of the words that you said, and I think it it belongs in every part of everybody's life. It needs to be applied is resilience, repetition, discipline, and consistency.
Yeah.
Those are words that are so important within everything that we do. And going back to what was said earlier, that we get into this mindset that things need to be done so quickly. But whether it be in what we do for our job, whether it's with the relationships that people have, that we have with people around us, whether it's the routines and how we treat ourselves, it's these words: resilience, repetition, discipline, and consistency.
And you know what, Hollis? Consistency compounds. All of these things compounds. So when you repeat things over and over, it's not that you are just doing it, it compounds. So you are
Yeah.
going to see the result further on the road. Is because, again, I think we are putting this mindset of the instant thing. It has to happen tomorrow. I see the overnight success. There is not such a thing as an overnight success. This person that in your eyes happened from Monday to Tuesday, they are working for years. Is because you're not seeing the work. It's because they
Yeah.
don't share the work with you that they did before. They don't share the sacrifices, the days that they didn't sleep, the days that they cried, the days that they, we tend to avoid those things and just talk about the success. And I think that this sometimes ruins certain things, like it's easy to see the Olympic medal, right? But go to the guy that won the Olympic Games and ask him the Olympic gold medal and ask him, what did you do to get here?
Right.
What
Yeah.
did it take? Right? These are the questions, like, what were your greatest failure in this process? Because we don't find these things by the success, but from what went right, but what went wrong,
Yeah.
And this is ultimately, my perception, what we should be sharing more, because this is how we can connect and relate to each other and support each other. Don't give up, keep going, because it's going to pay off. You have to be consistent. You have to repeat. You have to overcome this process, and you're going to get out of it, and see the light and see the results that you're looking for. I think most of us, we stop when we are just getting there, and then you think, oh, it didn't happen to me, and no, it's because you stopped, right? It's because it didn't pursue that.
It's because you stopped.
Because you
Yes.
stopped.
So often it's almost like in childbirth. A friend of mine said, my first child was born emergency C-section, and my second was natural. And she said to me, just when you feel like you can't do it anymore, just when you feel like you're like giving up and you're like, no, is just when the baby's right there. And she was so friggin' right. It was crazy. After 2 hours of pushing, I was like, I can't do it anymore. I'm done. They were like, she's right there. She's right there.
Yes. Yeah. And if you see in nature is like this, so it wouldn't be different for us. How long does it take to grow a tree? How long does it take to,
Right.
for I don't know, for a cliff to be formed? Like, if you look into nature, you see that it takes time. So we are part of nature. So why would it be different for us? I think we think that, I don't know, human beings, sometimes we think we are special, different, so we're different. No, we are part of it. It's all one thing, right? So these are the things that, as you go through, as I went through my pains and my dark moments and stuff, I try to understand why. It's not really why, it's just part of the process, right? So how can you understand this in a way that you're not punishing yourself so much because something's not happening, but how can you learn from what is happening and just keep going, right? Which I think is the hardest part.
Right. Oh my gosh. So so as we're getting to the top of the hour, this has been so great. We're getting to the third question. So Bobby, what we're talking about is all about creativity. It's been 3 questions. How do you define creativity? How do you incorporate it into your life? And now I'm going to ask Renata the third and final wrap-up question, which is, why do you think creativity is important?
Creativity is not just important. I think it's necessary, because this is what creates everything out there. It's like, it's how you can solve problems, help other people, impact the world, is by being creative. And there is no other way to do that unless you are in this state of creation, of learning, of being positive about things, of understanding how things, that you are part of one thing and there is a process going through it. It is, I think, the most important thing, which if we look into the world, all the people that were able to create something, and they were able to create something great, how many people they impacted and they helped in so many different levels. Even if we look around us, like, if you look around us for simple things, like in front of me here, I have a notepad and a pen. Like, who created that? Is a genius.
Right. I know. Yes.
But just having created a pen, or the computer, or I don't know, something else I'm seeing, a chair or a light, thank you, Thomas Edison, from spending 1,000 trials to do the light bulb, because this was so important for humanity
and this technology. Right, you're in Australia and I'm in New Jersey.
Exactly. Thank you, Internet, for the person that said, wow, we need to create this. So creation is the most important thing. And whatever it is that comes into your head, that you believe that you can help other person to solve a problem, you are on on the spot. You are on the ball. Like you are in the right place. Like go ahead with that. The thing is that we have to shut our ears to the people that are laughing to ideas that we have, that they say, I don't think it's going to work. It is because they don't see themselves doing it, not because you are not going to achieve that. Right? So before listening to these people that are saying to you that you can't do something, ask them, what did you do then? Right? I often, if somebody comes to me, and this is where is my boundaries between being open-minded to listen to somebody with a different idea and somebody judging what I am doing without even asking or without even having done something even close to what I'm doing. So it's really easy to point the fingers, to judge, and just say, oh, look at this guy doing this and that. And then this is what we fear, right? The judgment from the people, and stop us to create. I'm not going to do this because this is a stupid idea. There is not such a thing as a stupid idea. I was reading the other day something that was really, really, really funny. A quote like, was a guy on the pool. You know that little spaghetti thing that you have on the pool? You know that people kind of float?
Yeah, the noodle.
The noodle thing?
Yeah.
The person that created this is made like millions with this noodle stuff, you know?
Right.
If this person was to say, oh, you know what? I'm thinking about creating a noodle thing to put on the pool. It says, you're stupid to create that. You know, this person definitely didn't hear that, you know, and they create it. And here it is. So how many things you see around that you think that is a great solution for a problem that you have next to you that you would never, you know, that somebody created that came from somebody. So everything we are looking around us was a creation from someone, from, you know, looking around here from the phone, from the notebook, from the table. This was always creation. So I think it's not just important. Creativity is necessary. And this is what's gonna keep us improving as a society, as humanity, and it's just putting it as solution to problems that we have, and there is so many out there, so there is so much space to create.
Oh my God, we're gonna have to have like a part 2
yeah,
to this conversation. We are, because everything that you just said, I mean, I could go on for like hours about, but which of course is the whole validity of my whole company. But yes, I mean, this whole creativity going beyond a pencil and a paintbrush, the societal concept that we have, that's all that creativity is. But just that you said is creativity is everything. It's from how we form our day when we wake up, the choices that we make and what we're going to eat, what we're going to wear, what our hair looks like, if we wear makeup or don't wear makeup, what earrings we're going to pick, what shoes we're going to wear, how we're going to get to work, or, you know, all of these are just like choices that form and create who we are and how we're going about our day. And then all these other things that you're saying as far as like actual inventions and people, yes, these people that say no, you're so right. It's like they're just from their experience because they never thought of it and they don't see the possibilities. And like you said, you have to turn your ear away and be like, I can't hear you.
Yes, and this is why somebody like you, Hollis, is so important, because you create this community of people that are willing to create, right? And they stay together. And this is what pushed them forward, because you have to be surrounded with people that think like you, because it's really difficult to be, you know, against the current. Like you feel like you're doing something wrong, where in reality, you're just trying to create something that doesn't exist, or that is not in the beliefs of those group of people, you know. But when you step into a group of people, a community of like-minded people that thinks like you, that stimulates your creativity, stimulates your way of thinking, and sparks different things, this is when magical things can happen. So you're definitely doing something really important out there. That's for sure.
Well, thank you. And so are you. I mean, this is, oh my God, can you please let people know how they can find you?
Absolutely. So if they want to follow us on Instagram, you follow Matteo and Renata. So Matteo with double T, Matteo, and Renata, Renata. The same applies on Facebook. So Matteo, Renata there. Our website is still themindbug.com. So it's maybe easier to spell it. So themindbug.com. And yes, we also have a podcast that we talk around online business. We should definitely get into a conversation there, Hollis,
Yes.
that's for sure.
Yes.
We talk about
Yes.
this podcast. And yeah, so if you find us in one of these spots, you're going to be able to follow everywhere else. So it's, yeah, that would be amazing.
Oh my gosh. So before I say my goodbyes and everything officially, is there anything that you're itching to say, any last words on or quote or whatever?
Yes, there is one thing that I would like to share. I think it's good for this time of the year is around. I actually learned this yesterday. So the best way to teach is to get it in your head is to teach other people, and it's about quitting. So quitting is a skill. So you can before you decide to stop something, you have to ask yourself, am I stopping because this is too hard or because it sucks? Because if it's too hard, you have to ask yourself a question. What are the potential rewards that you have in offer if you go forward? Are the rewards good? Or the rewards, there is no rewards? Because if there is, then you shouldn't stop. You're just going through like a difficult time and you have to pursue, right? But if, of course, after doing all this work, there is nothing there for you, then there is no point for it to keep going. And if you think that the reason why you want to quit is because it sucks, I hate this person, that they don't allow me to do this or that, so you have to ask yourself, do you believe you can make it not suck? If the answer is yes, then the following one is, are there any rewards on offer? Is there anything that by the end of this, if I endure, it's going to give me something back? So don't give up. And I think that this is a moment where maybe end of the year, people start to, I want to quit my job. I want to quit this. I want to do this. I want to quit smoking. So ask these questions. It's going to be very easy, I think, to decide if you have to stop or not.
That is such a beautiful way to end it, I have to say. So I create a quote for every podcast that I do, and I post it. And this is your quote. Do you believe you can make it not suck?
Do you believe you can make it not suck? Exactly. Because if you do, then don't stop. Keep going, because there will be a diamond at the end of the road, for sure. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Renata, thank you so much for hanging out with me for this hour. I'm so grateful.
Thank you very much, you, for reaching out and to have this conversation. And yes, wish you a beautiful end of the year and starting next year. Rock and roll.
Thank you. And to you too. And everybody joining us live, thank you so much for being here. So grateful, those here live, those catching the replay. I know you could be doing anything for an hour, and just very happy and grateful that you've chosen to spend it with us. This space is all about inspiring each other, connecting, and sharing stories. So please follow, share. I believe we've always needed these uplifting conversations, but I think we need them now more than ever. I am on whatever place you can listen to a podcast on. Just if you could write a review and how it helps with all those algorithms, all the person who invented all that, so much appreciated. So thank you so much. And I wish you a good morning, a good afternoon, and a good evening. And I'll be talking to you soon. So goodbye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Feeling inspired? There are so many ways to do things for you, to get yourself moving, to get your creative juices flowing, and to have fun. Check out I Am Creative and Express Yourself Publishing. Go to iamcreativephilly.com, iamcreativephilly, PHILLY.com, and check out the experiential kits. Check out Creative Shui, which is all about creative inspiration and guidance. And for Express Yourself Publishing, there's so many multi-author book opportunities. So I would love to chat with you so much. Everybody's creative. Everybody has a voice. Everybody has an expression. And I can't wait to meet you. Thank you so much for taking this hour to listen to our stories and share the energy. And I wish you a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in this world. Bye, everybody.